Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you're having a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We got some things that we currently need to discuss that's going on in the boxing world, man. We're going to talk about Keith Thurman not being impressed with Jaron Ennis' knockout win over Uizma Lima, this past weekend. We're going to talk about Lamont Roach seemingly confirming the Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson fight, the words that Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez had not too long ago. Then, of course, we're going to get into some open boxing topics and talk about the hottest topics that are currently going on in the boxing world. You see what I mean? But before we get into that, if y'all guys could please hit the like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated, man. We just hit the 3,200 mark. About to hit that 3,300 mark in due time. Looking to hit the 4K mark by the end of the year. So every like, share, you subscribe and hitting the bell notification. It is all very much appreciated. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the comments thus far. Let's go ahead. Let's get the like button popping. Let's get the algorithm on the up so that people know that Mazuma TV is live. Shout out to the boy Ghost787 with the first comment of the day. He said Lubin also had comments on Ennis and his opponent. Yeah, I done heard about that. We could definitely talk about that. Lorenzo, what's going on, brother? What's going on? How we feeling? How we feeling today, man? We got some things that we need to discuss. For sure. We got the 3 likes, man. Shout out to everybody that's, contributing to the channel. You feel what I mean? Feeling pretty good, man. You know what I mean? We just came off of a series of good wins last Friday. We already back in the gym working. You know what I mean? I had my guys do some technical sparring, just jabs. You know what I mean? Working the jab for sure. You know what I mean? Some good bag work. I was listening to Timothy Bradley. I seen that he was giving game on how to take your boxing abilities to the next level. When I was hearing, he was like, man, fuck the boxing clock and all that. You know what I'm saying? And he was giving a rundown on what exactly he did to become world champion. So, you know what I mean? I'm definitely adopting some of the things that, he did because shit, that's the ultimate goal when you're a boxing trainer. You want to have world champions. You know what I mean? You want to have established fighters, because your fighters ultimately create your reputation as a coach. So, you know what I mean? I've just been locked in, focused on that. I had the day off from work as well. Got to spend time with my son. My son was running all around the gym. You know what I mean? He was having a good time. I just put him to bed not too long ago. So we feeling blessed, bro. A lot of good things to, be appreciative of for sure. All right. So let me go ahead and do this. We're going to put this on subscriber mode only. You already know how it is. You know what I mean? If you ain't subscribed, ain't no reason for you to be in the comments, bro. It's really that simple. You know what I mean? If you ain't subscribed to the channel, why we want to hear what you got to say? Coffee Plan, what up? What's going on, brother? How you feeling? Hope everything is well with you and yours, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. So, fuck it. People going to come in here as we start discussing, man. We're going to talk about Keith Thurman, man. Keith Thurman just did a long interview with Fight Hub. You know what I mean? Shout out to Fight Hub for putting that together. You know what I mean? I did want to hear what Keith Thurman had to say because, unfortunately, he just had a bout fall through with Sebastian Fundora temporarily. You know what I mean? From what we understand, Sebastian Fundora had picked up a hand injury in camp. And, the fight has pretty much been pushed back to January. A lot of people are speculating that, the fight is actually going to land on, Manny Pacquiao's undercard. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying that, as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Rolly Romero versus Manny Pacquiao. Happy birthday to Rolly Romero as well, man. Happy birthday to Rolly Romero. You feel what I mean? So if he was able to, get that fight with Manny Pacquiao, that's a good little birthday gift. You feel what I mean? That's definitely a good birthday gift. Let me go ahead and pull up that card because if that's, if this is actually true, like if this is the full-on undercard that's real, like if this is a real thing. Let me see. Hold on. Let me actually pull this up. Now, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna pull up 2 different undercards. I'm gonna pull up 2 different cards, but shout out to Dan the Boxing Man. You know what I mean? Because he was, and this is according to Mike Coppinger. Let me go ahead and share the screen for the people to see. Yeah, I did wish him a happy birthday. I spoke to him for a little bit today. Shout out to Rolly Romero. You know what I mean? He said he just chilling today. He ain't doing too much. So that's what's up. But this is the rumor that's currently going on right now in terms of where, this fight is getting postponed to Keith Thurman and Sebastian Fundora. And it looks like it's going to be the co-main event to Manny Pacquiao versus Rolly Romero. Now, I actually like this, man. This is why I was saying in the group chat a couple days ago that I feel like, and I'm not saying that Sebastian Fundora, injury is fake or whatever the case is. I'm not even going to go that far because I don't have proof that it is fake. But what I am going to say is that it's just very, very convenient. This situation right here just happens to be so convenient that the fight ends up becoming a part of a bigger card as a result of it being canceled. There was a lot of people criticizing, the fight at first because they were doing it for a pay-per-view, and this for a good amount of money from what I heard. I don't know if it was like $75 or $80 or whatever the case is, but that's what they were looking to, do for the pay-per-view segment. The pay-per-view event between Fundora and Thurman. A lot of people were heavily critical of that. And then all of a sudden, that fight ends up getting scrapped. Now for it to be possibly being placed on an undercard it's going to be a big fight between Manny Pacquiao and Rolly Romero. It just worked out really well. Like, it ended up just getting put together really well. So could it have been a coincidence? Maybe, but I don't know. Something just tells me that this was put together strategically. That's just my opinion. You feel what I mean? But it is what it is. Keith Thurman actually did an interview with Fight Hub, like I was saying. He was speaking about his whole situation, and he said that this is possible. Like, this is something that may very well happen. And if that's the case, then shit, we're gonna get two interesting fights, man. Fights that we didn't necessarily want to see, but wouldn't mind seeing either. Like Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman, nobody really asked for that fight. Let's just keep it 1,000. That wasn't a fight we were really looking forward to. But, I am kind of curious at the same time as to how this fight unfolds. I think Sebastian Fundora pulls off the victory against Keith Thurman, to be honest with you. Keith Thurman does have some good movement. He got some good athleticism, good side-to-side movement. I think that's going to give Fundora some trouble. And Keith Thurman is also explosive, and he can be unpredictable with his combinations. And as a result of that, he could probably hit Fundora with some shit that he can't see. And, Fundora is not the most defensively responsible person either. So, you know what I mean? Keith Thurman could definitely have some success in this fight. So I think that's what makes it interesting, in all honesty. You know what I mean? There is also the cons that, Keith Thurman don't got much experience at 54. He's a significantly smaller man. He's older. He's inactive. He's injury prone. But, at this point, I guess you could say Sebastian Fundora is injury prone as well, because he the one who had to pull out of the fight with an injury. So I do find that fight interesting to an extent. Now, Rolly Romero versus Manny Pacquiao. This is an interesting fight as well. You know what I mean? I'm actually happy that Rolly Romero got this opportunity, to be honest with you. I seen that the WBA ordered Rolly Romero to face Giasov or whatever the case is. Something just tells me that Rolly Romero not fighting no Giasov. And I think the WBA is going to be understanding as to why he doesn't fight Giasov once they realize that Manny Pacquiao is going to be the guy attempting to collect that belt. You know what I mean? The WBA would love to have Manny Pacquiao have their title. You know what I mean? Because, they're getting percentages of these guys' fight purses, and Manny Pacquiao not getting paid no chump change. You feel what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. I find that fight to be particularly interesting because I know Manny Pacquiao, after that Barrios fight, is confident. You know what I mean? He believes in his abilities. He feels like he still has it. You know what I mean? He went life. Mario Barrios went life and death with him. And, Manny Pacquiao was coming off a multi-year layoff. The man is 46 years old. You know what I mean? And he's feeling like he still got something left in the sport. Rolly Romero, he's taking some bad losses in his career, man. You know what I mean? And some tough fights. That Ismael Barroso fight, that was a tough fight. You know what I mean? That he won, but was still a tough jump. The Isaac Cruz fight, took a lot of damage. Rolly got, beat up in that fight. He did well with Tank, but he got sparked. You know what I mean? So Rolly Romero done been through the ringer, and a lot of people are really questioning his chin. You know what I mean? And, Pacquiao isn't necessarily, he's not a pillow puncher by any means. So a lot of people feel like, Manny Pacquiao actually has a chance in this fight because, he has the pop necessary to probably give Rolly Romero's respect. Now, me personally, I think that Rolly Romero may very well possibly stop Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely believe that Rolly going to end up stopping Pacquiao. I'm going to tell y'all guys why. When we looked at Manny Pacquiao, right, especially when he was in his prime, the biggest weapon that he had wasn't always his hand speed. He had great hand speed, he had good power. It was his legs. His legs were the key ingredient to his success, in my opinion. His legs was able to give him, that in and out, movement that he constantly had. And his legs were his main power source. I think that, once he sprung up off of them legs and shot them combinations, they were powerful. So his feet was very influential in his style. His feet was the reason why, people had trouble, predicting his offense, getting the timing for his offense. Like I said, it took Juan Manuel Marquez 4 fights to really get Manny Pacquiao's timing down and make him pay the price. You feel what I'm saying? So that's who Manny Pacquiao was in his prime. Those days are long behind him. To be honest with you, Manny Pacquiao's legs are completely shot. They're not underneath him how they used to be. And he's really a sitting duck at this point. And Manny Pacquiao was always one of them dudes that his defense was his offense. That was how he kept himself. That's how he kept you off of him, by letting his hands go, shooting off 4, 5, 6 punch combinations, and you know what I mean, getting out of range before you could establish your offense. Then all of it, bouncing in and out, then coming right back in and shooting another 4 or 5 punch combination. That's who Manny Pacquiao was. He's a sitting duck at this point, and he's very susceptible to getting hit with big shots as a result of not having that main source of defense that he had at the peak of his career, right? So we got somebody like Rolly Romero who's, he's took losses, but still very youthful, still fast, explosive, punching power, finally at the right weight class, in my opinion. You know what I mean? He deserves, he needs to be at 147. That's the division that he needed to be in when he was at 40. When he was at 35, he needed to be at 40. You know what I mean? He told me that himself. He said it right here on Mazuma TV. At 35, he's supposed to be at 40, and at 40, he was supposed to be at 147. He feels like he's at the right weight, but and Rolly he not little, man. That's a big dude. You feel what I mean? Agent 86, what up? J Cash, what up? Go 787, J805, what up? Shout out to everybody that's in the building. So I think that Manny Pacquiao, and that's if this fight is confirmed, of course. We haven't received any official reports. We just been hearing rumors. You know what I'm saying? So I genuinely feel like Manny Pacquiao, if he takes this fight with Rolly Romero, I think this will be his final stop. I think this will be the fight that really put him out. I think this is the fight that'll really make him be like, all right, I no longer need to be a part of the boxing world. Let me go ahead and tap into these exhibitions if I need this bread, and, just stay away from these young dudes, man. Because, Barrios really, he used Barrios to test the waters. You know what I mean? Then he found out, oh, shit, it's not actually that bad over here. But Manny Pacquiao is making the mistake in believing that it was, him still having something left instead of Barrios just being ass. And I think that shit is going to show when he fights Rolly Romero. He might have some success in the beginning, shooting his little straight shots down the pipe, probably hit Rolly with some shit, probably even drop Rolly. Who knows? But I think once Rolly starts to establish his offense and showcase that speed, and he lands that big hook on Pacquiao, I think shit gonna go south for the Pac-Man, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I genuinely feel. The boy J805 in the building comes through with a comment. He says, that's how I feel about Boots. His reflexes are an integral part of his defense. I wonder if that could hold up in the future. I actually heard somebody else say that about him. I think I heard Bernie the Boxer say that, and I disagree. And it's probably because I've been in the gym with Boots, but Boots is fundamentally sound as well. I think that a lot of people misinterpret him being flashy with him only having athleticism. You know, Boots is a very flashy boxer. He likes to do a lot of athletic based things in the ring, but let's not get it confused. Jaron Ennis is fundamentally sound. Like them dudes, they really. I've seen this dude. Look, I had my guys work with him. He catches shots really well. He slips shots very well. He got a good jab to the body. He's very sound defensively. I just think that, you know, he doesn't mind, and I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think he minds putting himself at risk to be hit. You feel what I mean? So I've seen Boots work on the fundamentals. He's definitely fundamentally sound. You know what I mean? Catches body shots, catches he there's not one form of defense that he can't do. You know what I'm saying? And he can be textbook if he wants to, but I just feel like Boots he's a showman. You know what I mean? He puts on shows. He's an entertainer. So, you know, that's the side he really likes to get into. You feel what I mean? He likes to have fun in there. He says it all the time. And you know, the fundamentals ain't always fun. I don't know if y'all guys ever, you know, been in a boxing gym or had to start as a boxer from the ground up. When they just have you drilling the fundamentals all the time, it's very helpful. It's very helpful. And it's going to come in clutch when you need it, but it can be very boring. And I think that's the type dude that Boots is. Like, when he does something, he wants to, you know, really enjoy the moment. So I think that's why he, you know, taps into like the flashy stuff and, you know, doesn't really put the fundamentals first. I think a lot of people think because he doesn't use them that he doesn't have them. That's not always the case. You feel what I mean? So, you know, maybe it's because I've seen him in the gym and I actually seen him display the fundamentals and actually use his skills. You know what I mean? But, you know, time will tell, of course. Rolly gonna make Manny quit on the stool. God damn, that'd be crazy. If Freddie Roach was to stop the fight or something, that'd be crazy. But I don't Rolly not this type dude that systematically, you know, breaks you down and beats you up off accumulation. He one of them dudes that he just spark you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he, you know, unless you like Ryan and you just go into survival mode and shit like that. Rolly got a history of just putting motherfuckers out. And that may very well happen with Manny Pacquiao. And I say this all the time. As you get older, your punch resistance decreases. You're not taking the same hook at 21. You're not taking a hook at 21 the same way that you'll take that hook at 50 or 45. You might be able to take that hook at 25, but you might not be able to take that hook at 45. You know what I'm saying? They say the last thing that goes is your power. One of the first thing that goes, in my opinion, is your ability to take a shot, especially if you ain't been hit in a while. You feel what I mean? I don't know if you ever took long layoffs during, you know, like from training and shit, but I remember, you know what I mean, like sparring and getting hit with certain shots, and I'm like, you don't really think much of it. You know, it's boxing. It is what it is. Then you take a long layoff, come back, you get hit with shots. Now you walk around with a headache. Like, damn, what the fuck? Why the fuck am I walking around with this headache? Because it's like your body pretty much builds a tolerance for getting hit. And then when you not, you know, once that tolerance goes away and once you come off this long layoff and not get hit, you know what I mean? It's like you got to start from the bottom all over again. Slime, what up? Out of Pal, what's going on, brother? What's going on? What's going on? Agent 86 said, I don't know if this is bravery or stupidity from Pacquiao if this fight happens. It may be a little bit of both. It might be a little bit of both. Like, it might even be a bit of delusion, too. Sean Sattel said that Ortiz is a bit more fundamentally sound than Boots. Do you agree? I think he displays more fundamentals, you know, than Boots. But it's because, like I said, Boots has shown me the fundamentals before. He is fundamentally sound. He doesn't use it as consistently as a, you know, Virgil Ortiz. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, Boots is the better athlete than Virgil Ortiz, right? He's the better athlete than Virgil Ortiz. Not saying that Virgil Ortiz isn't, you know, a great athlete. He may very well be, but Boots displays that more. You feel what I mean? Like he just shows it more. So because Virgil Ortiz shows the fundamentals, or he uses the fundamentals more consistently, which is a typical Robert Garcia fighter, by the way. He displays it more, so people are gonna say that he's better in that department. You feel what I'm saying? That may very well what it be. I think people have to really understand that just because fighters don't do this doesn't mean that they can't do it. Now, let's say there's a fight where Boots needs to use the fundamentals, and his lack of the fundamentals is why he loses the fight. Okay, then you could say that he don't really have fundamentals. It's almost like Isaac Cruz, right? Isaac Cruz beating everybody up, brawling, throwing these big shots, but it was working for him for a certain amount of time, right? A lot of people were speculating that Isaac Cruz couldn't box, right? Which, I gave him the benefit of the doubt because I said maybe he might have to use it one day when somebody's pushing him back or whatever, or somebody's outboxing him, then he might have to get in that bag. But then once we seen Gervonta Davis style on him, outboxing him, it was like, oh, Isaac Cruz, he can't box. It is what it is. I think that we need to give fighters the benefit of the doubt until they show us something different. You know what I mean? Boots might not ever need, for a lot of guys, he might not be able to, he might not need to use the fundamentals. What fight has Boots had thus far where it was like, all right, he need to tap into his fundamentals, keep it simple, keep on the outside box. He been really successful with, the main tools that he uses. You feel what I mean? So, I don't know, man. Blood Rush Entertainment, what up? He says, just like Roy Jones Jr., his style wasn't most fundamental, but it's what is best for him. And it worked as well, just like Boots. What he does in the ring works for him. That's what makes them unique. I agree. But, when Roy Jones got older and his athleticism left, it was time for him to use his fundamentals, but he couldn't because he never had them. You feel what I mean? Islam is True 76 said, what fundamentals does Ortiz show? He uses a high guard and gets hit way more than Boots. They probably just talking about, keeping the hands up, snapping the jab, shooting 1-2s, like basic combinations, because that's what fundamentals is the basics. You know what I mean? When you stepping forward, front foot first, when you going backwards, back foot first, keep, shoot the shots, bring them back, basic combinations, jab, right hand, left hook, you know what I mean? Bring the hands back, walk to, like, basics. You know what I mean? Like, Virgil Ortiz definitely has the basics. So I can see why Sean Sattel said that, but I think Sean Sattel is making an assumption without really knowing what Boots is capable of. Like, I seen Boots showcase the fundamentals against my boxer. You know why? Because Boots understood that, my amateur boxer wasn't on his level, right? He understood that, that he needed to work on my amateur boxer, just to get the rounds in. So what did he do? He worked on shit. He sat on the ropes. He was catching. I seen him catch the jab, which is that's part of your fundamentals. You know what I mean? Picking up the guard on the right hand, bringing the other hand over with the hook. He rolling underneath shots, using a good jab, bringing his hands back, catching, countering. He was, showing good footwork, moving laterally. The side-to-side movement was there. It was, Boots is fundamentally sound. I've seen him with my own eyes. But I think because a lot of people haven't really seen Boots in the gym, or they haven't seen him do it under the lights, that they think that he lacks them. There's a difference between, lacking them and not necessarily showing them. You feel me? So, yeah. Go 787 in the building. He says Virgil will get cooked by pure boxers like Boots, Xander, and I think Lubin could upset that man without a doubt. My boy goes 787. He don't think much of Virgil, man. But he fuck with his boy Xander. Shout out to the boy Ghost. And you think Lubin could upset the man? Sheesh. Let me find out. We got to put some money on Lubin, yo. Because I see a lot of people saying that. I just don't like. Let's say, but this is what I don't want to happen because I noticed there's a pattern, right? When fights get announced, they be like, "Oh man, that could be a tough fight, man. Y'all sleeping on this nigga, man. Oh man." Then when that dude that they say getting slept on get slept or get his ass whooped, oh man, he lost to everybody, man. We knew he wasn't shit, man. Motherfuckers gotta stop that, bro. Like if y'all really feel like Erickson Lubin's a formidable opponent, if he come up short, give Virgil Ortiz credit for beating a formidable opponent. I be noticing that, man. Like I seen y'all do that with Stanionis, bro. Yo, Boots ain't never get hit by somebody like Stanionis. He put real pressure. He let his hands go. He got a good jab, and Boots been getting hit in his last fights. And I put money on Stanionis to beat Boots, and Boots got to fight discipline. He can't afford to get hit. And then Boots packed Stanionis. Man, Stanionis wasn't no real champion, man. Even though he was, man, he ain't beat nobody. But who Stanionis beat? Like, I be noticing the pattern time and time again. That shit just getting old, to be real. Like, motherfuckers just move the goalposts. Y'all be dick eating a fighter, and then when a fighter end up laying an egg, then y'all talk about how that person ain't shit. Y'all just a bit too wish-washy for me. I'm not talking about the nation. Y'all already know I'm not. I'm just talking about these boxing fans overall. You feel what I mean? If somebody in the nation was moving like that, we hold them accountable. So it is what it is. Ooh, I don't think the Ortiz fight will be close at all. I got Lubin with the upset. If he listened to his corner, great show. Sheesh. So you think Lubin dominates Virgil? You heard Shakur sneak this boost. Did he really? I doubt it. They homies. I ain't hear that. Let me see who. What? Get the fuck out of here. Ain't no way. Like, I know Shakur cool with Bud more than Boots and shit like that, but I've always heard Shakur put respect on Jaron name. Shakur done been to his gym, all types of shit. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, I see somebody wrote that to Shakur. He sneaked this Boots is cool. Somebody by the name of Pound for Pound says he sneaked this Boots is cool. Ha ha. He be over there with Andre Ward, Bud, Bernie, Bomac, and they whole team, and they all probably be talking man shit about Boots. Shakur chose a side. He riding with them. Just say it and call it a day. Send your shots direct. And added Shakur. Shakur pretty much said, big cat, but okay, whatever you say. So Shakur not really giving boy any type of reaction. But I'm not subscribing to that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and agree with, this dude pound for pound or whatever the fuck his name is, because every time Shakur speaks on Boots, he always keeps it cool. You know what I mean? They got a good relationship from what I understand, man. Like I've seen them. Oh, okay. So the boy lied on Shakur. So he lied on Shakur, huh? My fault, y'all. My camera a little fucked up. All right, we straight. Listen, man. I've never heard Shakur speak bad on Jaron and his name. Never. So I'm not about to sit here and be like, oh, he chose a side. No, bro. Like, you know what I mean? He look at Bud as like his older brother. You know what I mean? That was a relationship he built throughout his boxing career. He cool with Boots. Like, see, like this shit not gangs, bro. You know what I mean? Like this shit ain't gangs. You feel what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, bro, if you fucking with blood, you know what I mean? You can't fuck with the Crips, or you rocking with 12th Street over there, man. Don't come to 10th Street, man. We don't fuck with them. Like, bro, this is boxing, bro. Like this boxing. You know what I mean? So it's like, why he can't be cool with them? It's the problem. Shakur friends with a lot of niggas in boxing. Friends with Keyshawn. He friends with Bud. He cool with Boots. He cool with a lot of people. Some people just, got relationships throughout the industry. It is what it is. But I see that, and that's exactly, and I always bring up this point. This is why boxing fans don't fuck. That's why boxers don't fuck with their fans, bro, because they do little shit like that. What this nigga just tried to do, this pound for pound nigga or whatever his name is, he just try to create a whole drama. And Boots don't ever respond on social media anyway. But he just tried to create a whole narrative. Like, just pull the whole narrative up out his ass. Like, oh, man, Shakur don't fuck with Boots. How? I never heard Boots say that he don't fuck with Shakur because Shakur fuck with Bud. Like, I never heard that. Where that even came from? Like, yeah, like niggas instigating. It's like them niggas in high school that just create a rumor about you and then spread it throughout the whole school. Now everybody believing this shit. Like, that's some hoe shit. That's real feminine energy. For real, for real. Let me see. A lot of motherfuckers never outgrew high school. That's a fact. I see niggas, bro, I'm about to be 30, cuz. In 3 years, I'll be 30. I got niggas my age that still be reminiscing about high school, bro. Remember how high school we did? Man, these was good times, man. I'm like, bro, get a fucking life, nigga. Go start a family. Go get you some pussy, nigga. Like, go get you a career, cuz. The fuck is you still worried about high school for, nigga? Fuck high school. He said, yeah, he said, yeah, it does the same thing when reporters ask Bud about Boots, even if his response is respectful. Yeah. Yeah, nigga, I'm 27. Yeah. In 2028, I'll be 30. Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to my 30s for sure. But anyways, I actually wanted to get into this whole Keith Thurman interview where he said he wasn't necessarily impressed with Boots. And then Marcos Villegas actually followed up with a question in regards to what Eddie Hearn has said, saying that, he reached out to fight Keith Thurman for, they reached out to PBC to get, Thurman to fight Boots or whatever the case is. And Keith Thurman just straight up called Eddie Hearn a liar. So let's actually see this real quick. Shout out to Marcos for putting this interview together. And where we at? I think it was like right here. But let's hear it. Damn, Keith Thurman all scratched the fuck up, huh? Boy, he was getting some good work. Pause. Let's see.
Place, So I realized it's actually caused by my headgear, and I'm definitely probably going to get a new headgear. It's the cheek pads, I just think we used to walk the local. My day's fabulous. Don't worry about me.
Over the weekend, we saw the return of Jaron Ennis getting a first-round knockout. Did you happen to see that fight, Keith?
Not. I mean, I did see the first-round knockout. So, yeah. I mean, I technically I saw the fight. Yeah.
What do you think?
I didn't see it live. I think that's what you get when you pick your tune-ups.
Keith, you really talking about tune-ups, bro? Are you really talking about tune-ups? What did you do in your first fight at 54, Keith? That's what happens when you get your tune-ups. Nigga, who was your last fight? Like, niggas really be throwing bricks from, like, niggas be throwing rocks from a glass house, cuz. Like, what is you talking about? Like, nigga, who you just fought in Australia, Keith? Jaron beat a top 10 nigga. Who did you just beat? Well, what's the nigga name again? His name was like Brock Jarvis or some shit. Like, nigga, you just fought Brock Jarvis. Who the fuck is he? Some pumped up nigga that got his way up to 54 somehow? That's what happens when you fight your tune-ups. Yeah, that's probably why you got the knockout that you got in your last fight, because you fought a tune-up. Nigga, what are you talking about?
I don't know who he fought, and I mean
Well,
I don't know a lot of people because I'm a family man and I'm not doing a lot of reporter analytical work these days. But I know a lot of people who didn't know who he fought, so that reassured me that I'm not the only one. But Boots is Boots, man. You know, he smelled blood in the first round and he handled it, you know. I mean, he was coming out nice and calm. The kid just couldn't weather the storm. I mean, once it went downhill, you know, it goes downhill quick, you know. So that's the one thing about Boots is, you know, he is a good finisher, you know, if he can get you in that danger zone, you know. He's fast, he's athletic. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely looking strong at 54, and he's definitely going to be a threat for anybody. I think Charlo called him out and different things, and you know, there's a lot more talent at 154 before before you want to crown yourself king with one, you know, first round knockout with a hand pick opponent. You know, there's some good talent at 154. So, you know, you handle the business up against a more solid opponent like the winner of Virgil Lubin, or get Charlo on his comeback fight. He's been very eager. You were with me in Vegas when I had my spat off with Charlo. He was talking about his six pack. He's saying he's been in the gym, been ready, waiting for contracts. So let's see, man. Let's see what Eddie Hearns and Boots end up doing together. You know what I do like though is how Eddie Hearns backs his fighter, hypes his fighter. And what else do you
no,
want for an appearance at 154? I went to Australia for my first appearance, got a third round stoppage. I rocked the kid in round one, but he's been stopped in round one. So I figured if I'm not the only one to do it, it's not that impressive. And I wanted to put on a little bit more of a show. I was actually trying to get a few more rounds out of him anyways, but when the window opened up in the third round for the second time, I was like, well, let's just put our foot on the gas and, go for it this time. And I was able to close the show on round three. But yeah, so Boots, man, new 154 threat.
Do
Looking serious.
do you see him as a future potential opponent, Keith?
I've always seen him as a future potential opponent. I wish.
I find that very ironic for him to say that, because I remember his infamous quote about Boots, and he said, "If I fight Boots today, it does nothing for me tomorrow." So I find it funny that not too long ago you were saying Boots was pretty much a nobody and nobody to really consider fighting, and now you're saying that you've always seen him as a potential opponent. That's just, I don't know if that was just trash talk, but regardless, that's definitely a contradiction.
When he was with PBC, I wish there was a little bit more transparency.
How so?
I heard his name come up for once for the first time in my career, right? Like sometimes they're like, well, what about this guy? If I've never even heard in negotiations for my up and coming fights, then it's not even on the table. So the first time I heard Boots Ennis's name hit the table, they gave me three options. I had a simple conversation. I said, you give me one of these two guys, and then you throw me Boots.
So you're basically admitting that Boots was never your first choice. So they offered Boots to you. They offered you three guys. Boots was one of them. You could have went and fought Boots, but then you decided to be like, let me fight one of these two guys, and then I'll consider fighting Boots. Now, Thurman has been inactive, and I guess you don't want to fight a young, dangerous fighter like Boots coming off of a layoff. I understand that. But I don't know, man. It's just a lot of contradictions with Keith. I remember he was trying to play Boots like he was a nobody. but then you're saying things that let me know that you look at Boots as a somebody. You feel what I mean? Because if he was genuinely a nobody, why didn't you fight him coming off of a layoff? You fought Barrios coming off of a layoff, right? Why didn't you fight Boots? Why were you, adamant about fighting or getting a tune-up before facing Boots? Interesting.
If you want Thurman Boots, all you gotta say is, Keith, the best fight we got for you right now, the best thing we can do for you, and almost the only thing we can do for you, unless if you really don't want it, is Boots Ennis. You want it or not? If it was presented to me like that, y'all would have already saw Thurman versus Boots,
So what he's basically saying is, if they would have forced me to fight Boots, if they gave me no other choice but to fight Boots, then we would have been saw it. Okay, Keith, that's good to know. Like, they basically would have had to. The only way that we would have seen Boots and Thurman already is if they offered nobody but Boots. Okay.
But when you give Thurman 3 names, I didn't say, okay, I'll fight this guy, then I'll fight this guy, then I'll fight Boots. I said, no, it's simple. Give me one of these 2, and then give me Boots, so that I have an active year and we can finish off with a great fight. What's wrong with that? And it just
what's wrong with that is you made it seem like Boots was a nobody in the division. Mind you, everybody knew who Boots was except for Thurman. Who's he? Like, I don't know him, blah, blah, blah. You went from saying that to then you get impressed by Boots' brother, and you saying if you beat Boots today, it does nothing for you tomorrow. So now you're trying to play it like he a little boy, like he a nobody. Then you said that you've always thought of Boots as a potential opponent, while shortly afterwards saying that the only way you would have fought Boots is if he was the only option available. And then what did he just say? What's wrong with fighting somebody else before fighting Boots? I don't know. It's just you'll say one thing about him, but you're approaching him in a totally different manner. So it just makes me feel like Thurman full of shit.
It just never manifested, to the point to where, look where I'm at now. I'm at the 154 division. I'm not even at 47, and now Boots is here at 154. So there's definitely going to be some potential, and there's going to be a lot of potential, when we end up showcasing our skills and talent, and we get that strap back on at 154. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be looking forward to a Thurman fight and a Thurman showdown when I have the WBC title around my waist.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Y'all let me know if I'm tripping. I don't want Keith to get that world title. I do not want Keith to get that world title, bro. I really don't. Now, when he had world titles, he fought some good guys. He faced Danny, he faced Porter. You know what I mean? He fought Pacquiao. You know what I mean? But who wouldn't fight Pacquiao? But like he put on some good fights. Let's not get it wrong. But Thurman the type motherfucker that when he get a little power, he like to flex on niggas and act like motherfuckers ain't worthy of being within his vicinity type shit. And see, y'all already know what I'm talking about. Shout out to the chat. Y'all be knowing what the fuck y'all talking about. But like, I pay attention to patterns. I pay attention to people's character, especially when they're in a power position. When Keith gets in a power position, he act like his shit don't stink, and that like he got he the one who run this whole shit, and he about to do things however he want. Like when he was upcoming and he was hungry, he was with the shits, calling out Paulie, better not duck me, fun, and saying Floyd ducked him, and he was on Floyd ass too. Pause. I remember that. But once he became the man of the division, you know what I mean? He act like motherfuckers was below him. Like, I remember how the way he treated Errol Spence. I remember how the way he treated Bud. I remember that. Oh, you ain't a real 147. But then once the tables turned, he fell off because of injuries and inactivity. Now he want all. Now he pretty much begging for one of these guys to give him a chance. And for real, that's why nobody ever gave him the Rumble. That's why Spence, every time he gets a chance, he say fuck Keith. You know, Bud said the same shit. Where it's like, man, Thurman, you know what I mean? He the one who started that whole other side of the. Was Thurman the one who started that other side of the street shit? He was definitely one of them, or he was either the one. He was either the one who made that shit up, or he was somebody who was backing that shit heavy. Like he either made it up or he endorsed it. It was one of them. But I really don't want to see Thurman beat Sebastian Fundora, because if he does, he ain't gonna give us none of the fights that we won at 54. He gonna hold that belt hostage. You know what I mean? He probably fight once, twice a year type shit. And like he's not gonna want to fight these other guys, bro. He's not. I do not see him fighting a Jaron Ennis. This man just literally told you that the only way that we would have gotten a Jaron Ennis fight is if they offer him nobody else but Jaron Ennis. So you say this, right? Let's continue on, because I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together right here.
Eddie Hearn mentioned at the post-fight, and I wanted to get your comments, or at least your rebuttal to this. He mentioned that he had offered Boots to you for this fight, for this date.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Stop lying. Eddie, stop lying. All right? Don't be. Come on now. Fake news. This is America, baby. I'm going to call you out like Trump. Fake news. Alert. Fake news, people. 100% fake. Please. I'm an easy guy to talk to. Talk to me. Make it happen. Talk to me. Don't talk about me. Don't talk like you talk. Talk to me. All right? We can get you the right people. Call up Marcos. Marcos got my number. Eddie, call Marcos. Marcos got my number. I ain't gonna put it out there. He got my number. You can find me, pimp.
Oh man. Imagine me making.
So what Marcos Vegas was talking about was that post-fight press conference that Jaron Ennis had after beating Luis Malima Saturday night. Eddie Hearn has said something about that he reached out to PBC to try to get a fight going between Boots and Thurman, and that PBC and them, like they like Keith didn't want the fight. You know what I mean? And this is Keith Thurman pretty much saying that Eddie Hearn a motherfucking liar, and that never happened. Now, do I know whether it happened or not? No, I wasn't there. I'm not behind the scenes with these guys. I'm not conducting. I'm not somebody who works for Matchroom. I don't work for PBC, so I can't really tell you whether that's true or not. It sounds like a bunch of he say, she say, and whenever it gets to that, I'll leave it alone. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. But Keith already done it. I'm gonna just say this: Keith already done admitted that the fight was presented to him before the fight Jaron Ennis, and he went around him. Right? So is it just all of a sudden impossible that Eddie Hearn reached out to PBC and PBC just said no because they know that Keith Thurman historically never wanted that fight with Boots? It could also be a situation where they're not willing to get PBC, not willing to give up Keith Thurman or cash out Keith Thurman for Boots. Eddie Hearn could be lying. Sure. I done caught Eddie Hearn in a few lies myself. He be lying. He be lying. But is it just like impossible? Is the idea of Eddie Hearn reaching out to PBC and them saying no to Keith fighting Boots, is that just unrealistic? I don't think so. And Keith probably don't even, and Keith, the message probably didn't even get over to Keith. Because, you know, Keith Thurman got representatives that conduct the business for him. So Eddie Hearn's not talking directly to Keith. He got to talk to the people over at PBC, whether it's Tom Brown, you know, whoever is involved, Tom Brown, Al Heyman, Sam Watson, whoever it is, right? It could have easily got to one of those people, and they shut it down and didn't even bring it to Keith's attention. That's a probability too. Oh, blood rush. Let me see. He says, I was never around for the Thurman era when he was fighting, so it's good to know from you speaking on his history, Mazuma. Always willing to learn knowledge. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you, man. But no, Keith Thurman, like I said, he put on some good fights. You know what I mean? Like I mean, if you wasn't around for the Keith Thurman era, bro, just check out that Sean Porter fight, check out that Danny Garcia fight. That's when he was at his peak. But then he ended up obtaining an elbow injury in the Danny Garcia fight. He ended up getting surgery, and it was a long process to come back from. And I think that Keith Thurman, with him feeling, and he was a unified champion. He had the WBA title. I think he was elevated to like the WBA champion after Floyd Mayweather retired. Then he ended up obtaining the WBC from Danny Garcia after Danny Garcia beat Robert Guerrero for the vacant WBC title when Floyd retired. So there was a unification fight. They fought at the Barclays. It was a huge deal. Keith Thurman pulled out a unanimous decision victory, but I think Danny Garcia had broke Keith Thurman's elbow with a punch. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. But Keith Thurman has said on multiple occasions that Danny Garcia's punches felt like bricks. And for real, yeah, Danny lost the battle. Like Keith won the battle, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, he lost the war. Like I think Danny Garcia really damaged Keith, where he was never fully able to, jump back in his bag. You feel me? That long layoff with the inactivity and the injury. I remember he had a picture. His whole elbow was completely purple. Like this whole section, the forearm up to the elbow, was completely purple. Like it was a really bad injury. And Keith, I think what also hurt Keith was, him just being content with what he had accomplished. He didn't stay hungry. He had traveled the world. He ended up meeting his wife, married her overseas. Motherfucker playing the kazoo and shit on top of a mountain, meditating. Like I think Keith fell out of love with boxing once he, was no longer hungry. And during the pandemic, when the lockdown was going on, they were desperate to get fighters, in the ring. And Keith Thurman purposely avoided fighting during the pandemic, saying that it sounded like the most boring thing ever because there weren't any crowds. So Keith Thurman fucked himself over in a lot of senses. He says that Eddie Hearn is lying. He may very well be lying. That's true. But he may also not be lying. Because this man literally just sat in his interview and told you that they offered boots before. PBC offered boots to Thurman before, and Thurman went around boots. So PBC probably already has it in their mind, like, this motherfucker Keith don't want no smoke with boots for real. We're going to keep boots away from this guy. So when Eddie Hearn came up to PBC and was like, yo, can we get a Keith Thurman fight? No, because we already know what Keith's going to say. No. So that shit was probably shut down from the PBC guys, and they didn't even bring it to Keith's attention because they took care of it already. That's a possibility. Let me see what else they got to say.
Fights, brokering fights. That'd be hilarious.
Come on, man. I'm trying to get you a side job, baby.
Yeah.
Marco's the new fight manager, people.
There we go.
Fight hype. This is real fight hype.
Fight
baby.
hub.
I make fights. We hype the fights. We make the fights. We do everything right. Come see Marcos.
All right. So that it was never offered to you. So yeah, that was just when he had mentioned. I was like, oh, okay. I want to ask Keith if what was going on there, if it ever was presented to him. Now looking then at the future, Keith, we think January. So what happens now till January? You just resume things as normal starting in the next few days, or what happens?
Yeah, just in the next few days. Enjoy the family time. Just my baby girl wants to go to the park today, and just take her to the park, around sunset. Florida heat still active. It's cooling down. We got a little bit of a cold front coming in, but yeah, just enjoy the family, have some intimate time, and then get back in motion, stay busy, doing at least one a days. Might up the yoga right now just for the mobility and the stiffness. Just keep the flexibility going, and just wait till we get that lock in.
Man, I don't give a fuck about Keith Thurman doing yoga. Y'all heard what he had to say. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Marcos Villegas for putting that together, though. You feel what I mean? How old is Thurman? Thurman got to be in his late 30s. Let me see. How old is Keith Thurman? 36. 36 years old. So mid going on the late 30s. Teach, what up? I also wanted to put this up, man. Shout out to Hassan Wells. We're going to transition to this next conversation. And Go787 says he wants me to check out what Lubin had to say about Boots and his opponent. So we'll definitely do that. But I just wanted to highlight something Lamont Roach has said and pretty much bringing confirmation to the whole idea of Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson fighting. Now, we have yet to get a fucking fight date. We have yet to get a fight date. I want to know why. In all honesty, that's kind of a red flag to me because Teofimo Lopez has this tendency where he act like he with the shits. He act like he wants to fight. He act like he's closed in on the deal. But then whenever the contracts are presented, and you get to the final step to sign, Teofimo Lopez can't find his pen. You know what I'm saying? That boy he disappeared. You feel what I'm saying? So I have huge trust issues when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, locking in fights. He always make it seem like he would have fight, that for some reason that fight fall through. That fight fall through to the point where Top Rank done had enough of him. And it's like, yo, you know what? Go fight wherever you want. Just bring back them percentages. You know what I mean? And it seemed like he done burnt every bridge except for and he did temporarily burn that bridge with Turkey Al-Sheikh, but I guess Turkey Al-Sheikh found a way to forgive him, so he's back in his good graces. You know what I mean? Probably had to kiss a whole lot of ass to get back in position. Because this is what I think happened, right? I could be wrong. But Teofimo Lopez, I think that he purposely disrespected Turkey Al-Sheikh to get out of that fight with Devin Haney, right? I think he did some low blows. The motherfuckers that fight dirty, to purposely get disqualified so they won't receive any more smoke. That's what Teofimo Lopez did, but from a negotiation standpoint or outside of the ring standpoint. He knew that if he just blatantly said he didn't want to fight Devin Haney or whatever the case is, that he would look bad. That would tarnish his reputation, right? But maybe if he disrespected these niggas' religion, disrespected these niggas' countries, maybe that'll deter them from wanting to do a fight with him, right? I think Teofimo Lopez thought the grass was greener on the other side. Maybe there were other, networks that were going to be willing to work with him. I think he went over to the PBC side, realized that, PBC ain't doing so good right now. So then he was like, fuck, I ain't got nowhere to go. Teofimo Lopez want these big paydays, right? He's sick of being lowballed by Top Rank, but he burned that bridge with Top Rank. He can't go back over there. PBC, they ain't got no money. They you know what I mean? He can't go down that route. So it's really just Turkey Al-Sheikh for real. You feel what I'm saying? So, and even if he went to a Matchroom, if he went to a Queensberry, whatever promotional company he would have went with, let's say he would have went to a UK one, they still do business with Turkey Al-Sheikh, and they're not going to pay him what Turkey Al-Sheikh is going to pay him. So he had no choice but to run it back with Turkey and kiss his ass and, try to get, right his wrongs with him and shit like that. You feel what I mean? So that's what I think about Teofimo for real. You said Teofimo destroying his career. I mean, he got this Shakur Stevenson opportunity in front of him. He fucked this one up. See, I think, and this is why I think the fight's gonna happen, because Teofimo don't got nowhere else to go. Really think about it. Where can he go? What fight can he make that'll get him the money that he's looking for? He not getting no more Steve Claggers. He not getting no more Arnold Barbosas. It's either put up or shut up. Nigga, you've been flaunting this Lomachenko victory for 5 years already. You've been flaunting this Josh Taylor win, but everybody know you ain't beat the best version of Josh Taylor. So it's like, all right, you beat Loma, you beat Josh Taylor. You know what I mean? If you want to throw Comey in there, all right, you beat Comey. That's a solid little John, whatever the case is. But now you got to face the elite guys. You was able to get Devin Haney away from you. You know what I mean? He fighting Brian Nerman. You know what I mean? You know, Gervonta Davis not gonna rumble you. He not. So who does that leave you with? Ryan Garcia, don't nobody want to see that. He coming off of a loss. Who does that leave you with? Shakur fucking Stevenson, who's probably the most skilled guy out of all of them. And you ain't got no choice but to fight him. Your mouth, your ability to not shut the fuck up, put you in this situation. Now you gotta fight him. If you don't fight him, you pretty much gonna be blackballing yourself from the industry. Nobody's gonna want to work with you. So I think this fight is gonna happen, but by default, because T.O. can't do shit else. But I just find it funny how, see if like this fight still like they keep talking, but no announcements being made. And Shakur probably just trying to be patient and all that shit. But what the fuck is really going on? There's a whole lot of optimism. There's no official signings yet, though. Remember, there was a whole lot of optimism for T.O. and Devin to fight. They was talking back and forth. Devin was so happy that he finally got the opportunity, and Turkey Al-Sheikh finally gonna be the Turkey Al-Sheikh finally closing this fight between us. Just for T.O. to be like, nah, I don't want those problems. I'm good. So we'll see. But Lamont Roach did an interview with Fight Hype. Shout out to Lamont Roach, man. I fuck with Lamont Roach, bro. I like his personality. I like his confidence. I like how the way he's willing to take on these big fights and shit like that. Not even being familiar with the weight class and still taking the chances. So let's hear Lamont Roach's words real quick. This is a quick video. Let's hear it.
Was that actually something that was?
I mean, it's to the point where, like, there's been talks. There definitely been talks and plans. Me and him actually talked personally. And it's like, if we can do it, let's do it. Mm-hmm. I think it was just a matter of what was out there for him. And T.O. is obviously a bigger fight for him. It's at another weight class as well, for a championship, and obviously probably for more money.
Was that actually something that was?
I mean, it's to the point where, like, there's been talks. There definitely been talks and plans. Me and him actually talked personally, and it's like, if we can do it, let's do it. Mm-hmm. I think it was just a matter of what was out there for him. And T.O. is obviously a bigger fight for him. It's at another weight class as well, for a championship, and obviously probably for more money.
Was that actually something that was?
I mean, it's to the point where, like, there's been talks.
So that's funny because I think my boy Ree had asked me why, Shakur and Lamont not rumbling when, they was talking about that was the next fight. And I said it got to be because Shakur Stevenson got the Teofimo Lopez fight, or at least he got a bigger fight. And we knew it wasn't the Gervonta Davis fight. So I was thinking, like, maybe it's because, Shakur Stevenson got offered a better opportunity to fight Teofimo. It makes more sense. It's for a world title. You know what I mean? It's a bigger name, probably a bigger bag. And that'll do more for his career. That'll do more for his career in terms of, like, his stock in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it'll do more for his career in terms of, becoming like that, attempting to become like that pound for pound number one level type of fighter. You know what I mean? So, and it looks like Lamont Roach was pretty understanding, as well. So, man, I hope that's the fight that's made. You know what I mean? I hope that's a fight that's made because I need to see Teofimo Lopez, fighting an elite Black American fighter. Like I need to see it. As much shit as you talk about Black fighters and, you know what I mean, you disrespect Puerto Rican fighters, you disrespect Black fighters. You gotta back up that shit that you talking now. Like, you got to. You feel what I mean? Blood Rush Entertainment says, I want to see Gary Antoine Russell versus Subriel Matias will be another good matchup to watch. I agree. I love that fight, to be honest with you. Subriel pretty much backed up with fights. It seemed like his next two fights is pretty much occupied. Subriel going to be fighting Dalton Smith whenever that fight's going to take place. Then we got, I guess Albert Puello is going to be waiting for that rematch as well. So, shit. man, Subriel looked like he pretty booked up. That's if Albert Puello, waits around for the opportunity. He might end up fighting for, another title, or he might just take another fight in between. But who knows? But I would love to see those two fight, man. Gary Antoine is very dangerous. Subriel is very dangerous. I would like to see. I think Gary Antoine is going to pull out a different. He's going to pull out a different approach for that fight with Subriel. I think he's still going to be himself, like still be aggressive, let his hands go. But I think he's going to be mixing up some boxing in there. I mean, I think he's going to tap into a different tool in his arsenal to try to get the job done. I think he's going to be mixing up boxing. Then he's going to mix up some moving. You know what I mean? Stepping around. I see Gary tapping into a little bit more of his skill set. I don't think he's going to just straight up go out and try to maul Subriel. I don't see that, in all honesty. I think he's going to use his ring smarts. I think he's going to use his experience, his boxing ability. Eugene Pearson says, salute to one of the most technical fighters in the world, Lamont Roach. Fuck with Lamont Roach, bro. That's it. I fuck with his mentality. I fuck with his confidence. I like what he brings to the table as a fighter, too. He talked that shit. What was so funny was, right, Tank was like, I'm going to stop you. He was like, are you crazy? Like, he ain't say, we'll see. He ain't say, like, fuck out of it. He ain't say none of that. He really looked at Tank like, you know who I am? Like he had that type of confidence, like, me? Like, out of all people, you say you gonna knock me out? Like, do you know who it was like one of them type Johns, like, nigga, I'm him, like you me? Like, he was so surprised that Tank said that. And when I heard him say that, I'm like, yo, Lamont, like, he really believed that Tank can't do shit with him. And it was competitive. Could have, Lamont should have won, though, for sure. Based off of the circumstances, he should have won. But Lamont looked real puzzled, like, nigga, where'd you get that from? Like, you... He was like, where'd you get that from that you gonna knock me out? Like, you would have thought Tank was a pillow puncher the way that Lamont looked at him, like, the fuck, nigga? Like, you tripping. Like, you bugging the fuck out if you think you can knock me out. He said Lamont, a stoic individual. Man, he couldn't believe what he heard. Shit was crazy. But anyways, so we spoke about the Thurman situation. We spoke about Lamont confirming Teofimo Shakur. So, of course, we can get into the open boxing talk, man. Shout out to the 3940 people that's in the building right now. If y'all could please hit the like button. If we could get 40 likes, that'll do a whole lot for the channel, man. That'll bring a whole lot more recognition to the channel as well. So go ahead and get the like button. You know what I mean? We got 21 likes in the building. Thank you very much. Let's get the likes up. We got 22 likes, man. Let's get them up. Let's get at least 30. How many times did I watch the fight back with Roach and Tank? I think I watched it like, I'm not I'm not one of them type dudes who like go back and watch a fight 30 times. Like, sometimes I'll only watch a fight once because I only need to watch it once to understand what happened. You feel what I mean? With Tank and Roach, I probably watched it like in its entirety like 3 times. Cause like, let me see exactly like was it really like the hair grease that got in his eye that made him do that, or was it just? But Lamont was applying a lot of pressure on Tank, and it wasn't like, I'm not talking about the literal pressure where it's like, you know what I mean, he walking you down. And no, I'm talking about like his presence just being there and not moving around, and Tank, trying to land big shots and not being able to land that clean. And then when he did land clean, Lamont kept pushing. It was like a type of psychological pressure. You know what I mean? A lot of, I guess you would say, mental pressure, where Tank is like, bro, like, I'm trying to get to this nigga, and he right in front of me and I can't. So that's what I was knowing. I think Tank was just very frustrated. And for real, I mean, you could look at it as like him trying to look for a way out or trying to find some type of time to rest in between. But Man, that was a good ass fight, bro. Lamont is seriously skilled, bro. Like I seen this dude. This dude was rolling shots. Him punching in between Gervonta's combinations. It was nasty, bro. Lamont was locked in. I just wish that Lamont was a bit more assertive. I wish that he was a bit more like I wish he hustled a little more. Because I felt like he only took it to another level when Tank did. So it's like Tank be at level 1, Roach will go to level 1. Tank go to level 3, he go to level 3. It was like a situation where, like Lamont didn't let Tank outdo him, but like he didn't outdo Tank. You feel what I mean? It's just like he kept it on the same level as Tank the whole time instead of just trying to outdo him. You know what I mean? It was a high level chess match. Like Tank was in there thinking he was doing some good shit. But I think if he would have hustled a little bit more, if he'd have took a few more chances, I think it would have been a bit more I think it would have been a bit more clear that he wanted to fight. So yeah, Sarah Ali said, you think Tank mental issues caused it? Bro wasn't himself mentally, in my opinion. What was the mental issues? Because I've never heard of, because people keep bringing this up like, oh, he had mental issues. What was he diagnosed with? Are you a psychologist? How would you know that he has mental issues? What was he diagnosed with that lets you know that he has mental issues? I'm trying to figure that out. And this is what I'm going to say too. Everybody, and this is coming from somebody who's been in boxing for a long time, everybody comes into fights with issues. Not everything is okay at home all the time. Motherfuckers really go through shit and still have to go out and perform. You know what I mean? And I've seen people go through some real life shit, like lose mothers, fathers, brothers getting killed a week before they fight. Yeah. Like niggas be grieving and still go in the ring and do what they got to do and act like nothing happened. You feel what I mean? So I'm not going to give. It's almost like that's like me trying to give somebody an excuse for quitting. It's like no, I'm not gonna do that because I seen motherfuckers fight with broken hands, torn retinas, torn biceps. Like Miguel Cotto last fight, when he fought Saddam Ali, he tore his whole bicep, kept rumbling, broken jaws. I seen Bam do it. Like there's really no excuse for that. What I think was Gervonta Davis felt like he knew Lamont. He felt like Lamont was a smaller guy, and because he was fighting at 130, he felt like he couldn't take his power. He moved him up. He put some respect on Lamont's name, but at the same time, you know what I mean? If he genuinely thought Lamont was a problem, historically, just like how he thought of other guys, he wouldn't have fought them. So obviously, it was something about Lamont that he thought he could take advantage of. Maybe it was because he beat him in the amateurs before, and all that shit. It could be a variety of things. But I feel like he thought that, he tried to cherry pick Lamont, but found out real quick that Lamont ain't the same nigga that you was rumbling when y'all was kids. Ghost said, take mental issues and not being able to handle the smoke when they get real. Facts. I don't think it's a mental issue. I think it's a heart issue. It's all good when you punching on niggas. It's all good. And it's funny because Tank had this own quote where he said, oh, it's all cool when you shooting, but what happens when them bullets start coming back? Yeah, nigga. Ask yourself that. Because when Lamont was shooting that shit back at you and he wasn't going nowhere, and you found out you couldn't hurt him, what did you do? Took a knee, went over to your corner, got your eye wiped, talking to the ref, doing all this bullshit, nigga. Like, and look, bro, like I said, I told y'all already, I know people that was chief sparring partners for Tank in camps. Like, he brought a lot of Philly niggas over to camp to spar with him. I got noticed for a fact. And they said, my niggas, somebody I'm cool with to this day, he sat down and he told me, he was like, yo, Mark, like, you know, I fuck with Tank, you know what I mean, blah, blah, but like when shit get hot, like I'm trying to tell you, like I seen it with my own eyes. When they get hot in there, Tank look for a way out. I'm like I'm listening to him because he my man's, and in my head, I'm like, I say, oh man, this nigga, I'm thinking in my head, why you hating on the nigga? He gave you opportunity. Like I'm giving him that, like I'm giving Tank that much of the benefit of the doubt. Like over my own homie, I'm like, this nigga sound like he hating. Cause I ain't never hear that about Tank until that point. He said, bro, I'm telling you, like I seen him punch on niggas start getting they lick back, and he don't be wanting to fight no more. Like I remember that. So then I never, you know, he ain't fight nobody that was able to push him to that limit. But then when he ran into Roach, I'm like, oh, so that's what my nigga was talking about. I'm like, oh. So when I talked to my mans, I'm like, bro, as a matter of fact, I called him. I ran into him in person after that, but I called him. When he answered the phone, he was like, I told you. I ain't say hello, nothing. He picked up the phone. He was like, I told you. I was like, nigga. I said, bro, all these years, because he said that years before the Lamont Roach fight. He was like, I told you. I said, nigga, you really called this shit all this time back. He was like, bro, I told you, bro. Like, that's not something you could fix. That's just who you is. Like, if you got that in you, that's just who you are. I'm like, damn. Then we chopped it up after that. And he was like, bro, like, he said, now that, he was like, and then he said this too. He was like, bro, I noticed. He said, now that side of Tank done been put out to the world, he not gonna want to fight again. Because now niggas gonna look at him like, oh, he has a breaking point. So because he got that breaking point, motherfuckers not gonna want to, like, he not gonna want to get in there with anybody who's gonna make him revisit that. And I said, well, he rematched Lamont. He was like, he said, man, that nigga ain't rematching no Lamont. This nigga, like, I'm like, yo, this nigga a prophet. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, I'm saying, I don't know. They said they gonna fight at the end of the summer, because at the time they said they was gonna fight in August or something. He said, man, that nigga ain't fighting no Lamont, bro. I'm like, all right. Should have listened to the nigga again. I should have listened to him again. Because then once I heard he fighting Jake Paul, I was like, yo, I told my nigga, I'm like, yo, nigga, you's a prophet, cuz like you know this nigga like the back of your hand. I'm trying to tell you, he was telling me, bro. He called that shit years ago, and I thought he was hating. I even told him, I'm like, nigga, I thought you was hating on me. He said, nigga, what I got hate for it, nigga? Shit. You gotta get your homie. I can't put him out. He told me not to put him out there. But he is a well-known figure in Philly, you know, as a fighter. He a well-known fighter in Philly. That's all I'm gonna say, though. If I do bring him on, I would never say that I would never bring up that story, because he said that's between, you know, me and him. Bro, he know Anonymous. I'm telling you, he called all that shit. He was like, he looked at me, bro. He literally put his eyes, looked up and down at me. Cause I'm like, I'm sitting here like this. I'm like, well, he said he gonna fight. He said he gonna rematch Roach. They said they doing the rematch. He was like, he said nigga ain't fighting no fucking Roach. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, all right. I said, all right, that's what he said. I said, that's what I'm hearing. He was like, he ain't fighting no fucking Roach, bro. That's exactly what happened. He told me, he was like, bro, what you saw was him breaking there. And he said that he knew that he broke in there. You feel me? He said he put out that excuse out there. He said he got a lot of people believing that shit. But what happened was he got, like, Lamont broke him. He said, why you think he was so happy to walk away with the draw? Because he knew that was his best case scenario. They can't say he lost. He said, bro, just off of that alone, He said just because he broke in front of the people, he will never give people an opportunity to see him go through that again. He told me that. And I was like, bro, that shit just makes so much sense. Like that make all the sense in the world. And that shit goes in line with Tank said his worst fear was. He said, I'm scared to get in. Like, my worst fear is to lose and get embarrassed. That was really embarrassing for him. You think he want to revisit that? Fuck no. And I know a lot of Tank fans don't want to admit it. The fact that Tank still got fans right now is insane. Like, you got to be gay. Like, at this point, you just got to be attracted to men if you still rocking with Tank. Because he literally done said, fuck y'all. He literally came up, said, fuck all y'all. Oh, y'all just want to see me lose. Like, the nigga was asked to fight Shakur. He was like, oh, y'all niggas just want to see me lose. Like, what the fuck? No, you. That's you that's you indirectly. It's like subconsciously admitting that you feel like you would lose to Shakur. Because if you felt like you could beat him, you would never say that. Y'all just want to see me lose. So in your head, you feel like you would lose. That's what you're saying, right? It's like Tank not smart, bro. Like he really, because in my head, like if I felt like, I'm gonna tell you this, right? If I knew in my head, in my heart that Shakur, that I couldn't beat Shakur, I would never say, oh, y'all just want to see me lose. Because I'm gonna know if I say that, people are gonna be like, why would you say that if you felt like you could win? Why would that even be a thought in your head? Tank already got the thought in his head that he could lose to him. Niggas who really feel like they can't be beat, that they can't even fathom having that thought in their mind. You feel me? If I knew a nigga couldn't beat me, I'm like, no, you trip. Like, we can get that shit popping. Like, he cannot beat me, bro. Blunt Sports, what up? Let me go ahead and get something to drink real quick. Y'all go ahead and hit the likes, y'all. Y'all go ahead and hit the likes, y'all. I think we all know that Tank is talented, Teach. The problem is his mind don't match his physical. And I told y'all need both. What Jamal Charlo had that one quote is when your mind and your body is at its peak is when you're in your prime. He said something like that. When your mind and your body on the same type of time, performing at an elite level, that's when you're in your prime. When he said what? Boxing International? Who said what? I could clarify on whatever I said. I ain't making none of this up. A lot of the shit that I be bringing up, it be coming from their mouth, not mine. Yeah, Teach. He said he even brought up Bud and Spence. He even brought up Bud and Spence situation and how some boxers turned on Spence. Yeah, so that's letting you know that Tank is afraid that after he lose, niggas not gonna be fucking with him like how the way they fucking with him now. But he's already feeling that without having a loss on his record because everybody's saying that he lost to Roach. So because the general, what's that shit called? The general consensus is that he lost to Roach. He's feeling the effects as if he did lose. So now he crashing out as a result of it. You know what I mean? He one of them motherfuckers. And I heard this very early on when I was boxing. If you're not built for the losses, you're not built for the wins. Like you gotta be able to be gracious in victory and defeat. You feel what I mean? It's all cool when you winning, but how about when you take that loss? How you gonna bounce back from that? I trust him. I'm gonna tell y'all this. I trust the motherfucker who, has a record of like 30-5 more than a motherfucker who 30-0 or 35-0. Because that 30-5 motherfucker, he done showed that he built for this shit. He done been knocked down. You know what I mean? He done been knocked out. He done been cut. He done got beat up. He done got robbed. Each situation, each circumstance that he went through, and he pushed through it. That goes to show how strong his mental, it goes to show his mental fortitude. You know what I mean? Not saying that undefeated fighters haven't been tested. Like Andre Ward definitely was tested. Floyd Mayweather was definitely tested. But a lot of these motherfuckers be undefeated and ain't ever go through anything in their career. You know what I mean? Like when Edgar Berlanga was undefeated, motherfucker had a bunch of wins, ain't learned shit the whole time. We never got to know about his personality. We never got to know about his resiliency. We never got to know about, how strong he was from a mental aspect. Dangerous Desire Billy said, I think Tank fighting Pacquiao next. Rolly got a purse bid. What you think? I don't know. I think Rolly's gonna get that opportunity, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I think Rolly's gonna get that opportunity. I don't know why, but for some reason, Rolly always seems to get away with shit with the WBA. I don't know what it is. But I remember when they was trying to get him to fight. Who was it that they was trying to get him to fight in the WBA? And like they said he couldn't because of an injury. And then was it I think this was at 140. He pulled out with some type of injury or some shit like that. Then came back and fought Ryan. I don't know. Something tells me I just refuse to believe. O'Hara Davies, yep. That was at 140, and then the old head packed him up. But something just tells me that, and I'm under the impression that Rolly might, to fight Pacquiao, he might vacate that WBA. Son tells me to fight Pacquiao, Rolly will vacate that WBA. And probably get that Barrios fight right after that. We'll see. And don't get yourself, hasn't he taken step aside money before in the past? He probably takes step aside money again and fight on the undercard just to let Rolly and Pacquiao fight. Who knows? But I don't believe Rolly fights Giasov at all. He told me he got 3 options. He told me 3 options, and Giasov is not one of them. At the time that we was talking, like I said, happy birthday to Rolly. Ryan rematch, which that looks like that's not going to happen. Barrios, Pacquiao. Never heard Giasov's name mentioned at all. I highly doubt he throws away them fights to fight Giasov. WBA might get that nigga. They probably let him slide. Manny will only fight Rolly for a belt. You think so? I mean, he fought Barrios for a belt. Now he about to fight Rolly. I don't know. But what if Rolly got to fight Giasov? Where does that leave Pacquiao? He ain't gonna fight Norman. What you gonna rematch Barrios? Don't nobody want to see that shit. Who you gonna fight, Crocker? Loma? I heard that. I heard that, but then that would contradict what they just said because Loma don't got a belt. So Teet's saying that Manny Pacquiao ain't fighting a nigga without a belt, but then you gonna fight Loma? So what you gonna get out of fighting Loma that you won't get out of fighting Rolly? And well, Loma looked fat at 35. He about to fight at 47. Highly doubt Pacquiao coming down in weight at 46 years old. I don't see that shit happening. There's a lot of question marks around that. That don't even sound right. Des 22 said no, he won't fight Rolly without a belt. Okay, so why would he fight Loma? They ain't gonna be for a belt. Okay, Ghost, I understand that. You said with Rolly, he gets a belt at least. Okay, cool. What does he get out of beating Loma? Money? He can get money with Rolly. I heard that Loma rumor too. I heard it today or the day before. I either heard it today or yesterday. But when I heard that, I was like, the fuck? That Loma is most likely fake. I believe that too. But I've been seeing that rumor circulating. I don't think Loma worried about boxing. He's fighting on the top rank, maybe Teo. Who's fighting on the top rank? Man, Pacquiao better not fight Teo, bro. Teo gonna beat the dog shit out of Pacquiao, bro. They better not do that, bro. Oh my God, man. If Teo beat Pacquiao, oh my God, we not gonna hear the end of that shit. How is he fighting on the top rank? Since when? Am I missing something? Since when? His last fight was with PBC. Did he re-sign with Top Rank? What's going on? I didn't hear that. You say you seen it on Twitter. Can anybody confirm that? Top Rank don't even got a network deal right now. So how he about to do a fight with Top Rank? He said no way back gonna fight on Facebook Live. ETC Boxer said Pacquiao ain't about to be fucking with Top Rank, so he could be on Facebook Live and shit. That's what I'm saying. Now, when Top Rank solidifies some type of network deal, which I'm sure is gonna happen at least by the end of the year, then we could, revisit that and see. But to be honest with you, I don't think Pacquiao ever go back to Top Rank again. Yeah, man. Like I've seen on record, Pacquiao praising Al Heyman and shit like that. You know what I mean? I don't think he'll ever go back. Pacquiao should have been left Top Rank. Top Rank is really good at like giving the motherfuckers the impression that, you know, everything's better over there and there's no need to go anywhere else. But then once they step out, they be like, damn, I should have fucking left a long time ago. Like Floyd, Crawford especially. Crawford was like, shit, as soon as he stepped out of Top Rank, niggas started throwing money at him. Like, here, nigga, fight. Like, the fuck? Should have been doing this shit. But yeah, I've been hearing that Pacquiao Loma rumor. Mr. Jannar Hill, what up? Salute, brother. He says, salute, Mazuma. I heard a rumor that Top Rank is supposed to be going to Stars Network. Did you hear anything? No, I did not. But if they end up on Stars, that's gonna be crazy. Because don't you gotta pay for Stars? Ain't that like what like Power and all that shit was on? I don't really watch too much TV, so I don't really know. But I was hearing something about them possibly signing a deal with Paramount or some shit like that. I even heard Prime Video. I never heard of, you know, the Star situation. Not saying that it's cat. I don't really know. But yeah. I don't really know. That's what Power was on. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm familiar with Stars. I've heard of it. But yeah, that'll be weird. I ain't gonna lie. Like if Top Rank was on Stars, that'd be kind of weird. TKO got the Paramount John. Okay. So maybe I got them mixed up. I don't know. I don't be knowing all these different networks, bro. Like Top Rank need to solidify something though. Even if y'all figure something out with ESPN or whatever the case is, like nigga, get on Disney Plus, Hulu, Zeus, nigga, Tubi, figure something out, nigga. Jesus Christ. Stars not even known for sports. Yeah, that's what's weird to me. They known for like shows, like fuck. Oh, okay. You say you cool with Tyrant going to Stars or Paramount Plus. I mean, listen. You know what I mean? Tyrant got a lot of talented fighters. You know what I mean? I don't think they should be waiting around. That's why they got like Guido Vianello fighting, you know, on this John over here. And, you know, Bruce Carrington was fighting on that Jake Paul, Chavez Jr. card. So, like, they keeping their guys active while they figure out this network situation. But it's like, damn, that's taking a long time, man. Disney owns ESPN. Okay. Yeah, that's shit that I'm not really knowledgeable on. I can't really speak on. I was just looking at the apps on my TV, and I was just like, Disney, HBO Max, all that shit, like Paramount Plus. Y'all gotta figure something out. Yep. That's why I got the chat. That's a fact. I want to see something real quick. Give me 1 second. Mr. Jannar Hill back in the comments. Hold on. Before I get to that. Go 787 said Lubin was talking hot, actually made some interesting points, even though I didn't agree with everything he had to say. All right, so let me know what he said. Paraphrase for me, brother. Okay, Disney been owning ESPN for like 20 years. Damn, I didn't even know that. NBA bubble in 2020 was at Disneyland and all the games was on ESPN. Oh yeah, I do remember that. That makes sense now. Mrs. Jannar Hill says, speaking of top rank Mazuma, what's your thoughts on Mega Troy? I'm sure he's referring to Troy Osley. Training with Devin. Do you think it will help Devin? It's definitely quality work. You know what I mean? Because considering the fact that Brian Norman is, a big puncher, you know what I mean? You do want to bring bigger guys in that are able to generate, that same type of power. You know what I mean? I think Troy Isley is a solid fighter. I think at this point, I think it's safe to say that, he's a contender. He doesn't have the biggest punching power in all honesty, but his size could definitely be, helpful to somebody like Devin Haney. You feel what I mean? I don't mind that, but I seen that he's also training with Kevin Newman. Kevin Newman Jr. is a super middleweight, from what I understand. I know that because we were actually supposed to fight Kevin Newman at one point when we had our fighter Brandon Robinson. But Kevin Newman got a better knockout ratio. He's bigger. He's definitely athletic. You know what I mean? And he has a long reach. So, from what I heard, Brian Norman has a longer reach than Devin Haney. So, I guess that's what he's getting ready for. Like, he's using these bigger guys that have bigger reaches and, maybe physically stronger to, help out with somebody like Brian Norman. Because for real, Brian Norman, that's a strong motherfucker right there who punches hard. So you got to bring in bigger dudes. You know what I mean? So you can get accustomed to that, strength difference, that size difference, that punching power difference. So I don't mind it because Troy Isley might not punch hard for a fucking middleweight. I think he like 15-0 with like 5 knockouts. So he doesn't have the highest knockout ratio, but he may punch hard for somebody who's significantly smaller than him, like Devin Haney. So because there might be a guy at light heavyweight who doesn't have the biggest punch, but if he cracks a 54-pounder with a shot, it may have an effect on him because smaller guys don't really take punches well from bigger guys. So Troy Isley might not have devastating power at middleweight, but his power may be similar to Brian Norman's. You know what I mean? Where Devin Haney could, get the gist of how to deal with the power or, whatever. I said all of that to say it could definitely help Devin. I mean, it's quality work. ETC Boxer says, Lubin said on Mill City months ago that he'd want to marinate a fight with Boots and save it for later. He only talking now because he might beat Virgil and he looking for an opportunity. Well, circumstances change, and as things change, so does your opinion. So, he might have been thinking that at the time, thinking that Boots wasn't gonna be like that big of a name going into the division, or you know what I mean. He wouldn't have gotten an interim title, but guess what? He does. So it's like you can't just let a fight with Boots marinate because Boots is looking to get to the top as soon as possible. So, hey, man, opinions changes according to circumstances. He was saying that if Boots was calling out all these dudes, then why the fuck he ain't fight them then? And he kind of went on and compared his resume saying he beats guys at their best when they're at the top. Huh? First of all, Lubin can compare resumes all he want. All them guys he beat never equated to him to becoming world champion. So it's like, yeah, like you beat Jason Rosario. Yeah, you beat Jesus Ramos. Like, yeah, you fought. Yeah, like Lubin do got a good resume. But none of that equated to him becoming world champion and becoming number one in the division. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, and Boots ain't been around as long as you. You got knocked out by, Jamal Charlo like 8 years ago. Like Boots wasn't popping 8 years ago. In 2016, he was just getting his pro career up off the fucking ground. So like, yeah. Yeah, Boots might not have beat as fought as many notable names as you, but it's probably because you've been at the top of the division for almost a decade. You fought Jermell Charlo in like what, 2017? All right, let me go ahead and pull that up. This ain't me defending Jaron Ennis or nothing like that. But all right, let's hear what Erickson Lubin got to say. Fuck it. Erickson Lubin. Oh man. I think this was this is it the one that says Erickson Lubin reveals Lima ain't shit and reacts to Boots' first round KO? Is it that one where he got a do-rag on? Let me know. I don't want to pick the wrong video. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead. Let's get this started. Let me do this real quick though, y'all. All right. Okay, let me go ahead and share the screen then. My fault, y'all. I'm just attending to some shit real quick. All right, let's hear what Lubin got to say. Lima ain't shit is hilarious though.
Still got my part to play. I gotta become champion.
Tell you what, Lima was more. I guess you say Lima was. Let me go ahead and confirm real quick. Because Lima was ranked higher than Ardell Holmes was, but carry on.
Yeah, and that's very important. I feel like a lot of dudes even been spoon fed and to a title and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Xander. But you just know
Shit.
you know how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Xander is definitely a quality talent and shit like that, but he definitely didn't have the hardest road to becoming world champion. Shit, it might have been like the easiest road possible to obtaining a world title, to be honest. But Xander's still a quality fighter. I ain't shitting on him.
You know how it goes, but I'm not too worried about that. I know I got a big fight on the horizon versus Virgil Ortiz, and that's a big fight that fans want to see. Like, they're trying to line him up with Boots. I watched the Boots fight on Saturday, and all I hear is just Boots and Ortiz, and I'm like,
That was my next question. Yep, go ahead.
And I'm just looking at that shit, laughing like they're overlooking me. So it's just like,
see, and I'm so glad that he said that, because when I was talking about exactly what motivates Erickson Lubin, I brought up that situation. I said, bro, everybody keep talking about Boots and Virgil, Boots and Virgil, Boots and Virgil. It was like, damn, you would have forgot that fucking Virgil fighting Lubin. They just completely ignoring Lubin. So I said, hopefully Lubin really uses that as motivation. And I'm gonna keep it real, bro. Lubin got a whole lot of shit set against him in this fight with Virgil, bro. He gonna have to really show out, because for real, everybody and their mom. And when I say everybody and their mom, I'm talking about the promotions, the networks, all them higher ups. They all want to see you lose, because they trying to cash out on this Boots and Virgil situation. So you're gonna have to really dominate, bro. Like, you're gonna have to really put belt to ass and put out a showing that you've never done before. So it's like, my nigga, you fighting in Texas against Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz is the bigger name than you. He got a highly anticipated fight, and ahead of him. Everybody wants to see that fight, bro. Nobody wants to see you win. He got a lot of shit going up against him, bro. I'm telling you.
this is great for boxing. Lima is not that dude he ain't shit. I ain't gonna lie, he ain't shit. Eddie's a great
Started boxing,
promoter.
I think, at 18. I think.
18.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Late.
Yeah. Well,
if he started boxing at 18 and became a top 10 contender in his weight division, that's pretty fucking impressive. I'm gonna just say that.
teach his own, but I just feel like this is more of a fight. This is a great fight for boxing right here. Like, the whole sport has their eyes open to this fight right here.
Especially now that the Fundora and Keith Thurman October 25th is not happening. I mean, this
Right.
is the only fight we're looking forward to at 154 pounds for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I know it. Yeah, I'm out here in Vegas. I was gonna go to that fight, but shit
That would
happens.
have been fly. Nah, but you gotta focus. You
Yeah, for
gotta
sure.
definitely focus.
For
Yeah.
sure.
What's your reaction to that fight? I mean, you saying he ain't shit, right? And even Stanionis came out and said that, yeah, his defense is not good. He has his chin up in the air when he's throwing all the punches, and he doesn't even bring it back home either. So, I mean, a lot of people were looking at it was like, this is worse than a tune-up. This is more like an oil change.
Well, I guess so, man. I don't know. Eddie's a great promoter, man. He does a lot of talking. He does a lot of talking, and he lined him up for Boots, and a lot of people knows that Boots is entering a new weight class, and he just did what he had to do. He just did what he had to do with that type of opponent in front of him.
You feel like anybody at the top level would have been able to do the same to that guy?
I can't speak for everybody, man. I can't speak for
Right.
everybody, but I know a talent like Boots, yeah, he gonna get somebody out of there like that for sure.
What do you think about Boots' reaction saying that, you and Virgil are a 50-50?
He knows boxing. A lot of people are trying to just overlook me on this fight right here, but the real boxers and the boxing fans that knows boxing knows that this is one of them ones.
Yeah. This is different. This is different because Jesus Ramos was like a really big win, but a bigger guy than Virgil Ortiz. You could clearly see there was a size difference.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is going to kind of factor you. We've seen a lot that Virgil has fought and a lot of smaller guys than him. Do you feel like that is kind of how do you view Virgil's career anyway? You know what I mean? Never been a champion as well.
Well, I do. I would like to say I don't really think he's fought nobody. Honestly, I don't really think he's fought nobody. I was just watching.
Virgil. So we just gonna say fuck Boychuk and fuck Mazuma, huh? Ain't they somebody? Boachuk a nobody? I know he just lost to Brandon Adams, but at the time that Virgil beat him, he was a nobody. They was mentioning him amongst the top 54s. Lou been talking this shit for sure. Mazuma was a world champion. First loss was to Bud. Yeah, nobody. Okay.
Him versus Buhachuk and then him versus Majimov. Those are the only two fights that I feel like,
Okay.
those are his two best wins, honestly.
Okay.
Two best wins.
Name recognition and
For
and
sure.
levels.
Yeah, for sure. But even though Buhachuk,
The Mean Machine, you ain't rocking with the Mean Machine win?
that was a pretty good win.
That wasn't at
Just because
54 though.
that dude fought Crawford and gave Crawford a problem in the first couple rounds and stuff like that. So people do look at it like that was a big win for Virgil, stopping him and stuff like that. So I could put that on the list as well. But the Buhachuk and Majimov win are just average wins to me. To be honest, those are just average wins to me because Buhachuk, the first fight with Brandon Adams got knocked out, even though I think he was winning that fight. But then the second fight, Brandon Adams went back to the gym, did some fine tuning, and beat him like 9-3 to me. In my opinion, he beat that boy clear as day. And that style, styles do make fights, and that style is just, that ain't really it. You know what I mean? He sits there and he does throw a lot of punches and stuff like that, but that ain't true boxing to me. And then Majimov did a lot of unnecessary moving, and I feel like Majimov is a little bit inexperienced. I feel like it gave Bud some problems. Like he mentioned it in his last fight against Canelo that he just did a lot of fan, no going, no nothing off of the fence. He just did a lot of fan, that European style. And Bud really didn't have too much international experience in the amateurs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it kind of threw him off a little bit, but he still got the win. But styles make fights, like I said before. And Virgil kind of knew that, and Virgil. I mean, it was a close fight with him and Virgil. Like I was watching that fight too, but Majimov just a little bit inexperienced. He didn't fight the right fight. He did a lot of unnecessary movement, and you kind of want to make somebody miss and make them pay for it, but he was just making a miss and then getting all the way out the way and just moving and moving and moving and moving and moving and not really throwing any punches to gain respect. So after a while, Virgil was like, hold on, this motherfucker just moving and feigning. That's all he's doing. So Virgil just took the initiative to go ahead and win the fight. Majimov didn't move for a little bit, then make him miss and then make him pay with nothing to solidify the rounds. He was just moving. He just moving and feigning.
And yeah, now I was watching the Lima and Boots fight as well, and I was listening to them, and they were just straight talking about the Virgil Ortiz fight, like you said. Sometimes they will mention the winner of you and Virgil, but tell me, do you feel? I know last time we talked, you and I said that I feel like a Boots fight with you would be huge. And you even said it to me, like, yeah, that's gonna be my big fight. And now we're here, right? You're kind of in the line. Do you feel like if all goes well with Virgil, that would be the fight that you want?
For sure. Like I said, I'll fight anybody. I do. It does sound great right now. It does sound great. It does sound like a big fight, but with just being completely honest, I got my own plans. Like I said, Virgil has the plans to fight Boots. You know what I mean? He wants to beat me to fight Boots. And I got my own plans. I got my plans to fight Fundora again. I got my plans to fight Charlo again. I feel like those are big fights. And not saying that I'm ducking any smoke, you know what I mean? But if it does present itself and Boots ends up with a world title or something like that, then yeah, we gonna make it happen. But right now, you know, we all got our plans set in stone. We all trying to solidify fights with, you know, him with Boots and myself with Fundora. But right now, we got each other like in front of each other. That's all that matters right now. I'm not thinking too far ahead. I'm thinking about this fight right here. I'm waking up every day, going to the gym 2-3 times, maybe 4 times a day, so I could fight Virgil Ortiz. That's all that I'm worried about right now. All them other fights don't really matter to me right now.
He kind of looked like
The morning after, ladies and gentlemen, and oh my.
No, if you're not interviewing niggas, I don't even want to hear you. Niggas don't fuck with you like that. Niggas, bring them fucking interviews up, and then we ain't got no choice. That's the only way we'll listen to you, nigga. If you interviewing somebody, nobody trying to hear that extra shit. But anyways, I like Lubin's mentality, bro. I do. They are being disrespectful. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. They definitely being disrespectful. They just assuming that Virgil gonna step over him. And even though, you know, I'm picking Virgil Ortiz to win, that's not an easy fight, especially if, you know, Erickson Lubin if he approaches the fight the right way. You know what I mean? Making Virgil pick his feet up, you know what I mean, boxing him, frustrating him. You know what I mean? And Virgil Ortiz is very emotional, and he might go against the game plan if things don't go his way. So there's definitely some things that Lubin can do in the ring. You know what I mean? Like the approach that he took in the Jesus Ramos fight that could really get, you know, Virgil outside his skin and, you know what I mean, possibly outbox him. You feel what I'm saying? So I do think that motherfuckers need to let fights happen before they just assume that Boots and Virgil are going to be fighting early 2026. I don't think that's fair to Erickson Lubin, in all honesty. And if Erickson Lubin were to upset Virgil, you know what I mean, that fight between Boots and Virgil is gone, to be honest. We might end up talking about Boots and Lubin, for real. So, yeah, man. Good little interview. I didn't get to see the whole thing. But based off of what was said in there, Lubin got his opinions, man. And look, he been at the top. He been one of the top 54 guys for about a decade now. So obviously, you know what I mean, he's a tremendous talent, especially being in a competitive division like 154. And you know what I mean, we just gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to wait and see. I'm really looking forward to that fight. They said that's November 8th. Looking forward to that, bro. November definitely gonna have some popping fights. But do we got any last questions before we get up out of here, man? I need to wake up early. I gotta drop my son off and then head over to work. So Verse 28 says Lima literally got paid 2 chase steaks to get knocked out. Now y'all acting like Boost is the second coming of Mayweather. Y'all gotta relax. First of all, who's y'all? Who's you talking about? Who said he the second coming of Mayweather? Everything that I said about Boost after that Lima fight is what I've been saying about him for years already. So I never changed my tune. I was talking that shit. I was saying how good Boost was before he became world champion because I've witnessed the man personally. So I don't know who's y'all. You coming to the wrong channel, brother. We gonna have to do the award soon. Yeah, facts. What was the categories again? My phone about to check, but it was like promoter of the year, division of the year, trainer of the year, card of the year, drug cheat of the year, prospect of the year, comeback fighter of the year, performance of the year, boogeyman of the year, robbery of the year, upset of the year, duck of the year, ass whooping of the year, fighter of the year, Fighter of the year, fight of the year, knockout of the year. We got a whole lot. But I think when we did it, it was in January. We currently in October, so yeah. That shit's coming up, bro. That shit is definitely coming up. I think we got the best award show, period. And once this channel get a little bigger and shit, we gonna start sending actual awards to these niggas' houses. You know what I mean? We gonna send that drug cheat of the year over to Ryan crib. We gonna send the duck of the year to niggas' crib. You already know. Boost got cracked and shot an uppercut at the same time. That was a crazy shot. It was a dangerous. I was looking back at it. I was like, that was pretty fucking dangerous. That was very risky because Boost absolutely reached on that left hand. He absolutely reached with that left hand, bro. And I was like, shit. That was just a real awkward punch. Like, I don't even know how the fuck he got that shit off. Yeah, duck of the year is a fact. We're gonna have to pull up Tank address and send that over to him, bro. Yeah, I mean, definitely get that duck of the year shit. Yeah. Lima saw he reached too, and he was pretty proactive with, you know, his response. Like, he dropped back, shot the 1-2, but the problem is when he dropped the 1-2, he shot that uppercut right in between. I was like, shit. Fundora duck of the year and Tank. Nah, that shit definitely going to Tank. Like, Fundora, he an honorable mention. But Tank, I don't see anybody replacing Tank. I think that's already a lock. That's a lock for sure. But all right, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Hype job of the year. We might add that one. Golden State. We might add that one. But I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love. If y'all can hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, this is something that we do on a daily basis. We talk boxing. You feel what I mean? 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be back at y'all with another live tomorrow to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world. You feel what I mean? Teofimo could definitely be in there too. He's a, yeah. Tio and Tank might have to share that trophy for real. But I hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful night. Like I said, I'll be back at y'all with another live. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe button. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,200 mark. About to hit that 3,300 mark in due time. I'll holler at y'all, man. Peace.